Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people to talk about Karens that have gone absolutely wild. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below to cast an anti-Karen charm on your house today. And if you don't, I'll be sending a few Karens your way right now. I have the phone ready. You ready to press the like button? Oh, wonderful. And now let's get started, shall we? I will tell you how this deal works. One early spring, I decided to sell off our travel trailer. It was only a few years old, looked new inside and out, priced right, and it was prime time of year to sell. I knew it would be gone after showing or two. The first family shows up after an odd phone call. The wife does all the talking, but made it clear that her husband, Glenn, makes the decisions in the family. She asks a ton of questions on the phone, so she could get the info to Glenn. Glenn is in the room with her as this is going on. Weird, but whatever. They roll in and I meet Glenn. He tries to avoid eye contact and is trying to play a power game. The wife and the kids are in love with the camper, polite and friendly. And Glenn is a dick. As I try to answer his questions, he occasionally smirks. At the point, I'm not interested in selling him dog shit fresh from my backyard. But I'm not lowering myself to his behavior. I give him the respect he does not deserve, taking the high road, since his poor wife and kids don't need to see me telling him to GTFO. Eventually, Glenn says, "I'm going to be giving you insert amount of dollars. We'll be back next weekend with a check." He barks at his wife and kids to get in the car, and I tell him that I did not agree to any price. Maybe it'd still be around next weekend, maybe not. He smirks again and drives away. Glenn's price was exactly what I would have accepted from any potential buyer who was not a dick. And that's the key phrase, not a dick here. At that point, I was clear about one thing. Glenn will never end up with my camper because, well, he's a dick. The next day, a couple shows up to look at the trailer. They're slack-jawed at the price and condition and ask what I'll take it for, as they can meet me later in the day with cash. I offer to sell it to them for Glenn's price. A few hours later, I have a fat stack of $100 bills in hand, and they leave with the trailer, thrilled with the deal. The next Friday, just as expected, Glenn's abused wife calls. She tells me that they got a loan and want to pick up the trailer tomorrow. I play dumb and ask, "Oh dear, what do you mean?" After she explains again, I drop the bombshell. "I'm so sorry, but it's gone." I tell her all Glenn had to do was respectfully offer the amount he told me I would be taking, and then leave a deposit check, and you would be picking up your camper tomorrow. But I reminded that she was standing there when I told Glenn that we had not agreed to a price, and it was still very much for sale to whomever wanted it. Finally, I told her to make sure that Glenn knows that it sold for his price the next day. That Glenn was a dick, and this was his fault. I kind of feel bad for the wife here. I'm not gonna lie here. I kind of feel bad for the wife. There was an attempt to skip triage in the ER, and well, it backfires. I'm a doctor in the children's ER. A family arrived to our triage check-in desk. The daughter had experienced a medical event at home that can certainly look scary, but actually it was very, very benign. She was well appearing and back to baseline. Our triage staff got them checked in and informed them that it would be a while before they could come back to a room because we were busy. There were 30 plus kids in the waiting room. They didn't like that response at all, and they raised their voices. There was a bit of cursing, and eventually they go sit down. Staff asks if I can speak with them, so I step out for a minute, say hello, and take a quick look at her, and assure them we'll get them back when we can. They didn't say stayed long. About 10 minutes later, they informed the front desk they're leaving and storm out. Well, okay then. They had what they thought was a brilliant idea. They walked about 1 block away outside the building and called 911. An ambulance came, picked them up, drove about 100 meters to the ambulance bay, and then brought them into the ER. They were inside the main ER and had skipped the line. Very, very clever, yes? Our docs go to see each ambulance arrival as they bring the stretcher in, just to lay eyes on our patients. We immediately recognized each other, and it was very apparent what they had tried to do. I let the paramedics know that the child is stable and can go back out to triage to wait again. By the way, several more patients had checked in during the meantime, so the wait time will be even longer. Of course, this didn't sit well with them. I'm pretty sure they left without being seen and went to another hospital. No more parking in a spot that you never rented. I moved to a new city a few weeks ago. Before moving in, I asked about the parking situation because I know how hard it is to find a spot in the city. Luckily, my landlord still had an empty space right next to our building. Once they showed me which one was mine, I parked my bike there. Fast forward a few days, I came home from work and noticed someone had been parking their car in front of my bike during the day. I took a picture of the car just in case something happened. I had a feeling something was off. The next morning, I looked out the window after getting up and got lucky. The same car was about to park in front of my bike again. That alone could be reason enough to call the police, considering the fine for blocking a vehicle like this is pretty steep. But I was patient. I watched them park and planned to talk to them afterwards. As I stood there, I saw the driver back into my bike, push it slightly, and then roll it forward again as I shouted at them just a "Hey!" out of nowhere for them. They finished parking, got out of the car, and immediately started berating me for parking my bike in their spot, asking why I would do that, saying they always parked there and there was no other space nearby for them. They even threatened to call the police, and I was angry that they had hit my bike, but I secretly hoped they would call the police because they would be the one fined for blocking my space. The landlord reached out to them. From my first interaction with them, I had a feeling they might retaliate somehow. Sure enough, the next day I went out to my balcony and found a plastic bottle on the ground along with this half-eaten strawberry. My bike seems to be fine though. I'm hoping for the best, and it stays that way. I found the bottle and the strawberry last night, and we'll see how petty they decide to get over the next few days. TLDR, someone had been using an unrented parking spot for a while and got angry when I started using it after actually renting it. Hey, I'm rich, but can I use your goats for free? I'm doing you a favor. I have a very small ranch in California. I used to own a clearing business using goats. I haven't done this in years, by the way, but I still do have two elderly mini goats. Yesterday, I got an email from a friend I've known since high school. We are both in our 60s now. She lives overseas and also has a massive house in Malibu with a lot of land. She comes from a family with a known name that was one of the wealthiest in California. She inherited millions. She has never for a minute lived without. The email let me know that she was in town to deal with her Malibu house as her land was damaged by our recent fires. She asked if I could bring my goats over to munch the brush on her land. I haven't heard from her in over a year. No talk of pay, no explanation. The email was written as though she was doing me a friendly favor, and it would be no big deal for me to haul out two goats over to her place and spend a few days overseeing them, hauling them back and forth at night, as a favor for free. I explained that my goats were old, and I didn't do that anymore. That the work involved with doing something like this would be pretty extensive. No apologies were forthcoming, except she was miffed and wanted to know if I knew anyone else who'd do that for her. Undoubtedly for free, by the way. I told her I did not know anyone with goats. I do, but I'd be damned if I was going to subject them to this entitled woman. She abruptly said thanks, and that was it. No, let's get together. No, I'm in town. Uh, no, it would be nice to see you. Just let me use your goats for free, and why won't you do that for me? The same woman some years ago descended on a mutual close friend who was dying. She insisted on staying at the dying friend's house, taking up all the woman and her family's time, energy, and resources to the point she had to be asked to leave because she was imposing so much. At the time, I had to cancel my long planned and paid for trip to see my very close friend before she died because this woman had drained all of their energy. My best friend died without seeing me because of this woman and her entitlement. At the funeral, my only dead friend's family was supposed to speak, but the Malibu woman had written a 3-page speech that she thought she was going to give because she considers herself family. When she got up and tried to head up to the front of the church to speak, my dead friend's brother finally had enough. He stood up, grabbed the woman by the arm, and forcefully dragged her back to the seat. She was furious. I suppose it shouldn't be a surprise, but the sheer entitlement of some people who were born into money never fails to shock me. Thank you all for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and share it with a friend possibly, or else I'm gonna have to invade your house and drop a Karen off that wants to speak to your manager. Now I will see you all next time. Bye bye.